choose me. Don't know where she came from. All I know is she's a groupie.
With the headphones.
I'm in a Starbucks, brother. I'm in a Starbucks.
Yeah, Matt. So you're unemployed now, Cromie, or what?
I quit my job on Thursday, but I start a new one June 1st. So I'm crushing my unemployment for the next couple weeks before I start the new gig.
Did you quit because they made you miss last week's podcast?
Yeah, that's what it was. I said, this is more important than my job. And they said, nope, the job's more important than the podcast. And I said, you know what? I'm done at the end of the week. See you guys. Made it way easier to schedule this too.
I talked to Patrick multiple days a week, and I somehow had no idea that he was his job.
Hey, are the Globetrotters playing in Finkston Ball?
Sure are.
You got full squad?
You want to make it out?
I already got a call from the ex-presidents.
Oh, yeah?
They said, Crom, what do I have to do to get you out to Finkston Ball at the end of the month? And it would have worked perfect because I'm not working. I could have gone out there.
I never did Finkston Ball, so that would be sick. I know Patty said he had the best time there. Probably baseball week, I also had a time.
Probably baseball week's a riot every year, no matter what.
But next year it's going to get even better. Apparently, the Japan U23 team is coming.
Oh, shoot!
Because Czech did really well in Tokyo. They made a lot of good connections there during the World Baseball Classic. So now,
dude, the U23 team, Japan U23 is going to be disgusting because all their pitchers are throwing.
Yeah, I would imagine they're going to be good.
They're blowing 98 and they're all 20.
We got an invite potentially down to Buenos Aires to play against the Argentinian national team, Brazilian national team, Chilean national team in preparation for Pan American games.
So when would that be if you went down to Argentina?
I think it's October 9th through 15th, but Argentina needs to qualify in a tournament that they have, I think, coming up in June. And then once they qualify, then they would host the tournament.
So they need to qualify for the Pan American Games, and then they want to do the tournament and prep.
Yeah. And then they'll provide a hotel and meals for us.
So just get down there. Cosgrove, we just got to get down there.
Yeah.
Fire it up, brother. I better get back in the cage.
I don't know. You might be on Love Island by that point, though, wouldn't you?
Oh, that's true.
I would have been done by that point. I'll be already filmed and out of Spain.
Do we have an update on Love Island?
Yeah, last update they had me do the a couple of days ago. They sent me over the link to do the police checks to start. So it's basically, I would think that I'm down to the last probably because they're just doing police checks on the people that they're going to meet in person. So it's narrowed down to the people that they're doing in-person interviews with in Australia and me as the only.
Are they flying someone out to you?
No. I did a Zoom call with the producers, and they're taking that, chopping, cutting it up, and then I have to take some fucking pictures today. They're like we need some basic headshots of you with the plain background. They're some with your shirt, some without the shirt, shit like that.
Yeah, you probably have a photo album of those already. So you said, I got these on deck.
I don't, but I might just swing by some random studio today and say, hey, what's up?
So for all of our listeners that don't know, Cosgrove got an invite potentially to Love Island reality show. In Australia.
The Australian version of it. He was in Australia for 6 months, and the country fell in love with him.
Amazing.
I heard the American accent kills down there.
It definitely plays. Some girls really love it. What I found out the Australian women is they just like men. You can't be zesty or anything like that. You got to be fucking just a man. You know what I mean?
It's in their DNA. The country is formed from convicts from England, right? So they know nothing but manly men.
Yeah, you get the tradies out there just absolutely putting up numbers just because they got big forearms, sweet muzzies, and You know, they just
I
get
haven't
after
showered in
it.
2
But,
days.
yeah, exactly. But they're the ones doing it, really, though.
Jimmy, take it back to the college days. Let's start there. And but because I got a few things that I want to ask, but it's not until like the end of the college days and your, your thoughts about going overseas and how that came about and all that. But Jimmy's he's going to start you off with like just talking about the college days. Maybe start with Cromwell and then we'll go from there over to the Cosgrove and talk about the transition from all right, like your college career to how the heck you ended up over playing in Germany and France and whatnot.
Yeah, so I mean, both of you guys are JUCO guys. Not only just like JUCO, but California JUCO guys. I'm also a JUCO guy myself. Played at Chabot. And that shit's a grind, but like it creates some competitors. And I'm sure it was down in SoCal too. So Cromwell, I'll start off with you. You grew up in Costa Mesa. Is that where you're at right now too?
No, I'm in Dallas now, but yeah, I grew up in Costa
You're in
Mesa.
Dallas. Okay. But then you played JUCO ball at Santa Ana, right?
Yeah, so went Santa Ana College for 2 years.
Yep.
Didn't have a great freshman year. Got like opportunity to play and start, but kind of worked my way out of the position.
Yeah.
But was fortunate enough to go play summer ball up in Alaska after my freshman year. My JUCO coach had played up there, and I think he had coached up there for a little bit too. So he made the connection, which was huge. So that transition from freshman spring to sophomore fall in Alaska was huge. Cosgrove also played in Alaska, actually. Because I'm up there seeing 87 to 92 every game. And then I show up to the fall at Santa Ana, and guys are throwing 85-mile-an-hour batting practice. So my confidence was through the roof, and that just carried over into the spring. Got off to an insane start to the season. I think I had like 4 home runs in 3 games, something stupid. And then like phone just wouldn't stop ringing. And then landed on Clemson. I knew as soon as they came out to watch and offered that's where I was going to go. Always wanted to go outside of California.
Yeah.
Want to go to like a bigger school, preferably with a football team, just because that's a bit more of an exciting college experience.
Yeah.
And then Clemson baseball tradition is nuts. And it was just the perfect opportunity for me is where I wanted to go. So did that, kind of reverted back to what happened at Santa Ana. I started off the season as a starting third baseman my junior year, worked my way out of the position, just kind of struggled a little bit with getting comfortable at the plate. There was a bit of a step up competition wise, but it wasn't that much. I played in the Northwoods League the summer before Clemson.
Yeah, what club were you with in the Northwoods? I was there too.
The Wisconsin Rapids Rafters.
Ah, that's right. Okay.
Yeah, so we actually won the whole thing. The team was really good, so that was a good time. We had to leave early though because that season goes on way too long.
Northwoods
So
is fun though.
prepared going into Clemson, but just couldn't get comfortable at the dish. Worked my way out of the lineup and then would get spot starts every now and then, come in as a defensive replacement. Then just mentally, like my mind switched that summer going into my senior year. I thought, hey, if this is where the road ends, this is where the road ends, but I'm just going to go out with a bang, have fun, enjoy it, and do my best to work my way into the lineup and try to make some memories. And just kind of rode the wave, like worked hard, did my thing. I knew I was going to have to kind of beat someone out for a position rather than having a position locked in for me.
For sure.
Then once I got my opportunity, made the most of it and kind of stuck in the lineup for the rest of the year. After that, played well. Like I had a good college career at Clemson, nothing insane, but I thought it was enough to where there was this chance I'd get picked up, signed as a free agent, but wasn't in the cards for me, which was fine. Then I reached out to y'all maybe June, I think, June or July. It wasn't my agent, but it was my buddy's agent. We talked, and he said, you should try to go play in Australia or Europe. There's a website called Baseball Jobs Overseas, and that's what they do. They send guys overseas. So made my account, or y'all made my account for me, whatever it was. And then 2 days later, team from Australia, Swans District Black Ducks, reached out, asked if I wanted to play. I said, yeah, I'm in. Let's do it. And then a couple months later, boom, I was in Australia. That's
All
pretty
right.
much how it went down.
We'll go into a little bit more depth with both of you guys, like on the overseas aspect of it. But before we do that, I'll head over to Cosgrove here. We'll go through his background a little bit, where he played. So you grew up in Seattle, and then you actually redshirted at the University of Washington. So like, did you get recruited there out of high school?
Yeah, so I had a bunch of walk-on spots to different colleges, different D1s. Couldn't find any that I liked, but UW wasn't on that list yet. And so I committed to a JUCO in the Bay Area, San Mateo. Yeah, so I was committed there. Oh, was it?
Yeah, they were good.
Okay. Yeah, they had a good team.
Yeah.
So I was committed there. And then, I graduated high school. It's that June, so middle of June, my senior year. Obviously, I graduate. And then, like early July, UW was, they had a guy transfer, a senior catcher transfer. And they were out watching games in the Seattle area where I was playing summer ball. And basically called me up one day. They were like, hey, we think we have a spot if you're interested. Do you want to come on a little visit? So I rolled down there, they rolled it all out for me. Sounded like a good deal. I was supposed to be one of 3 catchers on the roster, including a junior who was going to be a top 3 rounder. And then a JUCO guy who was coming in. So it was just 3 of us. So I was like, man, I got a good chance to be the backup catcher as a freshman in the Pac-12 right now.
Yeah.
So I went. Unfortunately, a buddy of mine was supposed to go to Oregon. He got his scholarship pulled at the last second. UW had an extra spot. They picked him up. He comes into UW. He gets the junior catcher who's supposed to be really good, gets hurt in the game 6. The other freshman catcher beats me out for that spot, and the other freshman starts 45 games as a freshman. And so basically I go back. I didn't play. I got my red shirt burned for playing 3 innings against USC on a Sunday rubber match.
Oh, that's rough.
I get my red shirt burned, and then come back my sophomore year, tore it up in the fall, actually played really well. But coach already kind of made his mind up. Joey was going to start. Joey Morgan was the other catcher. So I left at winter break my sophomore year. So I was at UW for a year and a half, essentially. Okay. And he basically told me, he's like, listen, you're going to be a backup. Sorry. And so they actually helped me get in touch with some guys down in California because I wanted to go to California. Decided on Santa Barbara City College.
It's a good spot. Santa Barbara's awesome.
Yeah, it was a good thing I was only there for 6 months. It was a trouble. It was a troublesome area down there. I'll tell you what.
So did you go there just for the spring? Like, so you spent the fall with UW and then you went down for the spring just for the season?
Yep, went down for the spring. Had to stay an extra month and a half after the season because I had to get my associates to go 4.24. Yeah. So because I was at the 4-year and went back to the JUCO after, you have to get your associates to bounce back to the 4-year.
Okay.
So I took a little quarter of summer school for it's just one extra class I had to take. And then right after that is when I got the call to go up to Alaska, like Patty was saying. Went up to Alaska, and that was right after I had committed to NC State.
Nice.
It was cool. And then went over to NC State, played that year, played well, and then got drafted after that.
Okay. So then how long? And you got drafted by the Twins, right?
Twins, Twins in the 17th round of 2017.
And how long were you at the Twins organization?
So I got drafted in June, went and played that short season after the draft. Yep. Went back to spring training next year, played that full season, went back to spring training next year, went the whole spring training, and then got released on the last day of spring training of, I guess, what would be the 3rd year.
And then did you go straight to the Frontier League from there?
Yep, straight to the Frontier League. So my coach in the Frontier League, I guess, on the last day of spring training gets on and can check all the roster releases and everything like that. So I got released at 7 a.m. on the last day of spring training, packed up my bags and was on the road heading back to North Carolina by 9. I was like, I'm getting the fuck out of here. And then started driving home, and by 11 o'clock I had a call on my cell phone from the Southern Illinois Miners in the Frontier League. And so headed out there about a month, like 3 weeks, a month later, and then played that season there.
And then overseas became the thing. So like, when did you first hear about the opportunity to go play overseas?
Yeah, so I played that year of indie ball and actually played really well. I made the all-star team for the Frontier League, started at catcher for the all-star team, so it was great. Thought I was going to get picked up multiple times. Through a third of the season, I was leading the league in hitting, and I thought I was probably the best defensive guy there. So I was like, I for sure got to get picked up, and it just never happened. And so by the end of the last third of the season, I thought I was done with baseball. I was like, I want to quit, but I'm going to stick it out because I'm sick of this. I was just kind of beat down by not getting picked up when I thought I was going to, and after getting released and all that. And so I actually started talking to my buddy towards the end of the season. I was just saying, I was like, yeah, I'm done with baseball. I just want to travel. All I want to do is travel. And that guy's name is Chris Williams, who was Patty's roommate at Clemson. And him and I met in the Twins organization. So we became good friends in the Twins org. Patty and him were college roommates. So when I'm telling him I want to travel, but I'm done with baseball, he was like, hey, listen, one of my best friends from college is actually he just played in Australia. He's over in Germany playing right now. You should talk to him and see if that's something you'd be interested in. And I had never heard of baseball in Europe. And so he put us in contact. Patty was kind of, showing me the ropes, telling me which teams would be fun to play for, what it's like, gave me the whole rundown. And then over like a couple months of talking, Patty and I kind of we're like, okay, we seem like similar guys, seem like we get along really well. Let's try and find a team to play with together. And then that's when we signed the contract with Montpellier.
That's cool. Not easy to do too, as neither of you are pitchers, and usually like signing as a duo, like they're looking for a pitcher and a position guy. But
yeah.
So,
that was tough, but we had it down. We were like, all right, location wise, where do we want to be? Competition wise, where do we want to be? Then we need to find a team that will take a shortstop and a catcher. And we got to find a league where they allow more than 2 imports. So we had to play a little Tetris with figuring out where we could play. And Montpellier was just the perfect place.
Yeah.
The team was good. They compete for a championship every year. The head coach, Jean-Michel, he gets it. We're there kind of for an experience as well. So we didn't miss many practices, but there were a few that we did miss because we went and traveled on the weekend if we had a bye or something like that. So the Montpellier situation was perfect for us. It was exactly what we were looking for.
Yeah, that'd be one of my top picks too, just from a location standpoint.
Yeah, and pretty centrally located in Europe, I would say. We would fly out of Marseille, or bus or train. We did it all. And Marseille was relatively close to Montpellier. Also, Barcelona wasn't too far away either, so sometimes we'd fly out of there. So it worked out perfect.
Yeah. And so one of the things that I was always impressed by the two of you is to come from the backgrounds that you did, playing in front of thousands of people. And then next thing you know, especially you, Cromwell, you ended up in a bottom team in Germany at one point.
Yeah.
We don't need to go into detail, but I mean, but you kept the cool, you guys had the right frame of mind of what this is about, and so you didn't big league any teams or anything. You just went over and you're like, all right, I'm gonna, you looked at the big picture and then the whole experience. So but how was that? Was there adjustment period, or did you just kind of come in already knowing what you're signing up for, and how did you approach that?
Yeah, I think I knew I was done playing I don't want to say competitively, but at the American professional level. I didn't want to do indie ball, and the only way for me to get signed by an affiliated team was to go through indie ball, and I didn't want to do that. I was content with doing the overseas, even though it was a slight step down competition wise. So definitely checked the ego at the terminal at LAX before I went to Australia, and I just kind of went in there going with the flow. I was still in really good baseball shape 4 months prior. We were playing against Vanderbilt in the regional, and now we're going to play in Western Australia. So I knew it it was going to be a little bit different. And I think starting off in Australia was a good segue into Europe, because Europe's a bit of a step up from like the actual professional standpoint than Australia. Talent's very similar, but it's much more structured in Europe. So starting Australia was great because it kind of made me realize what the expectations were of what I was getting myself into.
Yeah.
And I always went there like, hey, this is going to be fun. Like, I'm going to play ball and have a good time, but this is an experience. And you get like, I think there are three different kinds of guys that play overseas. There's one kind where it's they love ball, they want to keep playing and get picked up by an indie ball team and maybe play affiliated.
Yep.
Then there's Cosgrove and I. Hey, we kind of did it. We're just sailing off into the sunset in the greatest way possible. Still love playing ball, but we're going to travel and we're going to make the most of it, because I don't know when I'm going to get back to Europe and Australia. Like, I got people trying to bug me, hey, let's plan out a Europe trip, and it's kind of tough with work now. And then there's the third group, which is the greatest group, and it's the guys that just have nothing else to do but keep chasing the sun, and they go from Australia to Europe to Australia to Europe until they get cut. Honestly, until they're like, hey man, like you can't keep playing anymore.
And was that tempting for you at all to do that?
No, I'm pretty focused on my career now, work wise, and I didn't want to be 29, 30, and everyone's different. This is just me. I didn't want to be 29, 30 getting into an entry level position work wise, because I feel like your clock is kind of ticking at that point. So I knew it was going to be about 2 years for me. COVID threw a wrench in it, and I said, I'll go another year. It's, no sweat on that. It's very tempting. Like, when you go out there, you just have a blast for 6 months. So I definitely thought about it, but it was never going to happen for me. I kind of put the little timeline on myself that's how long I was going to play.
And Cosgrove, you were saying how like you were a little sick of the politics and getting a little burnt out on the professional side of baseball. Like, so when you went overseas, like, how was that experience? Like, was it kind of like refreshing in a way, just seeing these guys that work all day and show up and play double headers on the weekends and, try to manage their lives and still play baseball, and they play with like a passion at that grassroots level?
Yeah. So my biggest problem with pro ball was I went from college. So I'm just like most of us, I'm uber competitive, like just like really, really competitive. And I wasn't actually ever like as talented as the guys that I played with in college ball. Like, there was guys that were just way better than me. I got arm strength, that was my tool. But in terms of like all over talent wise, I wasn't as good as a lot of guys. But in college, when I got to NC State, I just wanted to win so bad that I competed above my talent level. So I decided to take when I got drafted as a junior, I actually wanted to go back, but I put together a good enough year in the ACC where when I got the call, I was like, I don't know if I can repeat that. Like, I hit 333 in ACC play, and I was like, to be honest, I don't know if I'm actually that good. I think I just went into compete mode and ended up putting up decent numbers. And so when I got to pro ball, no one really gives a shit about winning. And that's really where it got me screwed up, because I was just like, I'm sitting here playing this game and it's all based off, who puts up numbers and who's, does this and throws this hard. And again, it was no one's fault. It's not like I'm saying, oh, I got fucked over, screwed over, blah, blah, blah. It was that I got bunched up with a bunch of guys who were simply more talented than I was. And when I couldn't flip that compete switch on me, I didn't have the mental strength to go out in front of 17 fans at the time in the Appalachian Mountains in Tennessee and go play a meaningless game. I just wasn't good enough, As you see, we played the Rays all the time, and it's like every reliever from the Rays is 94, 96 with sink and a slider. It's like, I can't hit 330 off that. So yeah, when I got to Europe, it was great, because it was like, all those guys are just there to win. It's like they're there to have fun and win. That's the only point. There's no politics. There's no money behind it. You're playing because you want to play and because you want to win. And so I think that's why I kind of like got back and started playing better again and enjoyed my time, because it was like, you know, I'm not really playing for a stat line, because I'm not trying to get picked up anymore. I'm playing just to be, you know, I'm out there to have a good experience. I'm playing just to put up numbers for my team so that the team wins. So that was huge. And then the other thing that helped out was I got to Europe, and all of a sudden I remember I showed up in Prague. That was the first stop after COVID. So I show up in Prague, and I get there. I fly in on a Wednesday, and I told my coach, I was like, hey, yeah, obviously I'm a catcher. My whole pro career, all I did was catch. But I was like, but I can play a little bit of the left side of the infield as like a fill-in guy if you need me. And then I come back and he's like, yeah, okay. I come back for Thursday practice, and he goes, hey, I thought about what you said yesterday. I was like, I didn't even register. He goes, about you playing the left side of the infield. I was like, oh yeah, like a little third base or something. He goes, yeah, tomorrow night's opening night. I think I'm going to have you start at short. And I looked at him, I said, what? And he's like, yeah, you could play shortstop. And I was like, Skip, I haven't played a game at shortstop since I was 16. I'm 24. And he's like, you'll pick it up. Just take some GBs tonight before the game tomorrow.
Welcome to Europe.
Welcome to Europe. And so all of a sudden it was like I went back to high school, because it's like I play shortstop on Friday, I catch Saturday, play shortstop on Sunday, and I close out one or two of the games as well. And then I'm hitting in the 3-hole, and it was just like I started having fun, because I mean, catching. Let's be honest, catching fucking sucks. It's miserable. I mean, there's cool parts about it, but like for the most part, it sucks. Then all of a sudden, I'm out there to shortstop. Like I'm like, this is a dream. I'm sick.
Yeah, no shit. Tell us about like some European experiences. Like maybe you guys we can dive into some of the shenanigans you got into down in Montpellier.
Yeah, my summer of 2019, first summer in Europe, was unreal. Like, couldn't have been better. I met Daniel Catalan and Aiden in Australia. They were playing for Rockingham Rams.
Yep.
And they'd been doing overseas for like 3 or 4 years by then. So they were vets, like seasoned vets, knew everything about it. And I don't think I was signed to my German team yet, or maybe I was about to sign with them when I met them. So they gave me a little rundown about the German Bundesliga, how each European country and league is different tier of talent. So they said, yeah, German league will be good for you. It's pretty competitive. Got to Europe in March, and then Burns, you mentioned this a little bit. The team I was on was brand new to the first division.
Yeah, because they were in the second league and they had just promoted. And then I heard that you signed with them, and I'm like, all right, you're coming from Clemson.
Yeah.
This is going to be a little bit different. Because, I mean, the German Bundesliga is good. The North Division is considered a little bit weaker than the South.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I mean, like with your background, I feel like you definitely could have gotten into, you know, the Czech Extraliga, like maybe gotten some looks by like the Dutch Major League or Italy. But I mean, it's still a good first step. But yeah, how was that transition going into Vesseling?
Yeah, I don't know if I talked to too many people about what it's like for those new clubs playing for their first season in the first division. And looking back, maybe
that's what we're here for.
Yeah. But I think I was talking to you, Jim, for a little bit, and you said it might be a little different, you know, the teams that get relegated up to the first division, sometimes they don't stick around for more than 1 or 2 years. So you might lose a lot. And I think for some reason I just want to go play in Germany. Thought it was like going to be pretty competitive, which it was. Like, that was going to be pretty competitive in a cool area. And I think maybe I was just getting nervous that I wasn't going to get picked up by a team, even though I signed relatively early. I think it was in January. So like there's still a lot of time for teams to reach out. But I think I just saw the opportunity. It was decent location. It was super close to Amsterdam, close to Paris, Brussels, the whole 9 yards. So I thought, you know, it's great location-wise. I'm going to be doing a lot of traveling. So got there in March. We got absolutely boat raced first 2 games, opening day. And like going into the game, the guys on the team were like, I think we got a chance to win. Like, Paderborn's good, but if we play well, we got a chance to win. So I'm like, sweet. Like, we got an import arm who's pretty good on the mound, Sammy Springer. Yeah. And I'd only practiced once with the team before. And went out there. I mean, it was a football score. we didn't put up a field goal. We like scored on a couple of errors or something like that. And that was a shock because I had heard that the German league is pretty competitive. And what it is like the teams at the top are very competitive.
Yeah, like Bonn,
South,
Paderborn, like even Hamburg now, like those three in the north are pretty solid. But then when you get down to the bottom half of the league, it's a little bit more tough.
yeah. And so after that first weekend, I thought, all right, what have I got myself into? But still, like, good living situation. Guys in the team were nice enough. And then the next week we played what was actually the worst team in the league, and we beat them. So we're 500 after 2 weeks. I'm thinking, okay, maybe if this is how it goes, like, we can make something work. And then we probably went on like a 20 game losing, not 20 games, but we went on like a 10 game losing skid, and we were just getting our cock stomped every game. So that was never fun. But in between all of that shitty baseball experience, we did so much traveling, like met up with all those guys in Pamplona. Me, Evan Brizantine, Aiden, Dan, Tanner Donalds, Phil Acosta, and we did Running the Bulls for 3 days. It was insane. Did Prague Baseball Week, did Fingston Ball, and then did a lot of like solo traveling on my own. So definitely made the most of it for like what unfortunately happens sometimes. It's just not like a great import situation. But I never let that like stop me from my experience. Like even though the baseball wasn't a great experience, the traveling and all that was unreal.
Got to make the most of it. That's what the whole thing's about. So we'll go to Cosgrove because he's been kind of listening for the most part. How was Montpellier?
Montpellier, man, it was sweet. Yeah, we showed. So like I said, I was in Prague and then was able to get out of the contract right as Patty, you went out there like a month before I was there. You were in Montpellier, correct?
Yeah, early June I got out there.
Okay. And then I was in Prague until Prague Baseball Week. So was at the Eagles Stadium where I was playing. So I stayed there, played Prague Baseball Week, and then flew out after Prague Baseball Week to Montpellier back with Patrick. So we kind of went back together. He came out to Prague for the week, and then I flew back. And we got there, and it was sick situation. Well, the living situation wasn't quite ideal. We showed up to Montpellier, and I mean, again, like you were saying, club was sick. They were good. City's unbelievable. Good spot for travel. They were trying to save money that year. I think it was they were half COVID, half not. We didn't know if the season was going to happen. So they were a little bit down money. So Patty and I got real close real fast when we found out that we were sharing a living room. So Patty had the pull-out couch, and then I had a twin bed on the ground in the corner of the living room. So
not even a bedroom? Like you didn't even get to share a bedroom?
No, we had the couch. Patty had to put his pull-out couch back to a normal couch during the day, so we could sit there and watch TV.
No shit.
We had another.
You guys are farting on his bed like during the day.
Exactly.
Yeah, and then because we had Owen Ozanich, he's not an import, he's the French guy, but it was his apartment essentially. So it was a 1-bedroom apartment. He had the bedroom, and then Patty and I had the living room. So yeah, we were out there. We got some stories about that too, but it was good. Like we had a blast. Our team, honestly, when we put out our best lineup and we had all our college guys there, I think you probably could have stuck us in damn near any league in Europe, including Italy, maybe the Dutch league, because I mean the lineup looked like we had a college guy who was probably a Division I talent, Paolo Brassier, plays for the national team. He led off. Patty hit 2 holes, so you got a Clemson guy in the 2-hole. I'm hitting in the 3-hole. And then 4-hole, we had Soriano, who's one of the best French hitters in the last decade. Yeah. He played minor league ball too. And then we had another guy named Maël Zahn, who was actually the best hitter on our team. He was legitimately, I was like, this guy's a better hitter than I am, straight up. He's a French national team guy. And then we had guys even below that. We had a guy who plays on the French softball national team, but was a pretty good hitter. We had another guy named Ismail Pontiac who just committed to a Division I team. I think he's going to Arkansas Marcelo. Mm-hmm. And then I feel like, who else do we have? I feel like there's one other guy that I'm missing.
Olivares, who played JUCO ball in Miami.
Yep, and he was good. He put up numbers. He's a national team guy. And then we had the other catcher who was kind of on and off, Fabian Kovacs, who he's a national team guy too. So we had two of the French national team catchers and me. And then Patty's out at short. We got our third baseman, who's one of the best French hitters. So like when we put out our best lineup, we were disgusting. Unfortunately, when we got to playoffs, all of our college guys had to leave and go back home. So the lineup was a completely different lineup. And then we ran into Sinar. Jimmy, you're in Sinar, aren't you?
No, Jake's in Sinar. I played with Sinar back in 2016.
Okay. We ran into Sinar, and the French league, they don't have any import rules on the mound. So you got Shane Priest, who will throw until his arm falls off, and Sammy Sprinkler. Sammy goes out there and will also throw until his arm falls off. So it's like we're playing 18-inning doubleheaders, and we're not seeing a fastball in their 87. And Patty and I being the imports, I mean, these guys are throwing. I think Priester threw me 2 3-0 sliders.
Yeah, big respect pitch.
Because they just knew without the college guys in our lineup, they knew that it wasn't going to quite be the same thing. So they could pitch around Patty if he's one guy to get to me. And then they're like, we don't really even have to pitch to Andy because we'll probably get the next guy, huh? So we ended up getting beat in the playoffs. While we were there, man, I'll tell you, we had a hell of a time. I'll tell you, we got into some stuff. The best part about it, honestly, was that once we got towards the end of the season, it was weird. It was like all of a sudden there was like a 3-week period where we just didn't have to play baseball. And so Patty and I essentially ran off. I think we were gone for with a 1-day stop in between to do laundry. I think we were gone for 17 days at one point or something like that. Like we went out for 7 or 8 days, came back, did laundry, flew out somewhere else. And I think in that time, which trip was that, Patty?
I think they have a tournament at the end of the year called the Challenge de France. So it's all the teams get together. And there was some sort of import rule for the tournament. Yep. And our club smartly was like, we need to take our arms if we're playing in a tournament. And I think they kind of knew Kaz and I would not like to be split apart, which is another reason why Montpellier is the sweetest spot ever to play. So he said, hey, unfortunately, we're going to leave you boys at home and we're going to go play in this tournament. And
I remember that. You're awesome.
Yeah. And so I had just got back from a trip in the UK. Cosgrove had just got back from a trip to Prague. He had to go see his old baby girl in Prague. And we meet at a pub in Montpellier, and he breaks the news to me. And we're both juiced up. Not that we're not playing ball, but so we get 8 days to do what we want to do. And we immediately go to the phones and we're like, all right, where we're going. And Ryanair, 13-year-old flight to Lisbon or Porto? Porto.
No, Porto.
13-year-old flight to Porto, one way.
BBJO, here we are. Andy Cosgrove, Patty Cromwell. Got kicked out of the Challenge de France, ironically, because of a couple of import rules. So we decided to grab a 13-year-old last-minute flight to Porto, Portugal. So we're heading into a couple 40 ounces of Superboc and catching the sunset up on the bridge, in case you guys were interested. If you don't want to involve yourself in that, then probably don't sign up. You know what I mean?
Don't make a profile.
Don't make a profile.
And we're like, perfect. We'll go to Lisbon after that. Then we went to Sevilla. And we were like, let's just fly by the seat of our pants.
Hey guys, Andy Cosgrove here, out in Monaco. Just myself, doing a little bit of swimming. Oh, just kidding. I'm with the boys.
How are we?
We got Patty Cromwell, Brian Cromwell. Like I said, we're in Monaco doing a little bit of swimming. Brought the phone out in the water. Not sure why. It cost me $1,200, but figured we might as well do it.
Anything for content.
Anything for the content.
Anything for content.
We're currently treading water roughly 60 feet deep, so if the phone goes down, it's gone. I'll give you a little 360 action, just in case you want to see it.
Just awful.
Right there's the Mediterranean. Anyways, we're planning on going out tonight, dropping a G on red and seeing where we go from there. So if you thinking about signing up for BBJO, do it! Down here on the Riviera, south of France, in Nice, as you can see by the sign right behind us.
We love Nice.
Okay, we're just popping down here for a little bit while we catch the sunset going down, give you guys a glimpse.
And so we were gone for 5 days, and then our coach was like, yeah, you don't need to come to practice Tuesday. Like, I don't think we're going to practice because they just won the tournament. Shows how good Cosgrove and I are. We didn't even play in the damn tournament. The guys won the thing. And so we turned that into 2 more days, and then we finally got back to France after what seemed like 2 weeks, kind of just roaming, just with a backpack and a dream.
That's awesome.
I remember following you guys on your Instagram, and it looked like a blast. You guys have sent some pretty dang good content for us too over the couple of years there. And one of my favorites was the running the bulls where Cromie almost got pitchforked by one of the bulls there, and he runs up to the camera and he's got blood screaming down his elbow. And so I used that on one of the promo videos that we got.
That's an all-timer. That was probably, and the fact that was on film was so by chance too. Daniel was just like filming to film, and you just see me do my best to dodge a bull. Well, I'll rewind back and tell the story. So, running the bulls is like a week-long party in Pamplona. It's called the San Fermin Festival. And so like it is a week-long party, like 24/7, people in the streets boozing, partying. So naturally we're doing what the locals do. And so the first day, me and Will Namans, we didn't make it inside the arena after the run. We let the bulls pass us, and then we tried to follow them and then get in, but they shut the gates. We didn't get in. So the next day we said, well, we got to get in today. So we're partying all night into the morning. We were a little overserved going into the morning, and we get into the arena, and I'm kind of like in the middle dancing, doing my thing. And then one of the bulls just turns, locks eyes with me. And I'm like, oh no, here we go. And he's coming at me, and I like, do I jump over? Do I dodge? And so I hit him with a little 1-2, dive underneath. He kind of gets me with what I'm guessing is the side of his horn, because I had a really nice bruise on my rib. And so I'm running back to the boys, laughing because I didn't die. And I'm like, yo, he almost got me in the back. And that's the video that Catalan has. But yeah, all time. Didn't tell my parents I was running until I was on my way back to Germany. I said, oh, yeah, by the way, like, ran with the bulls. Didn't want to scare you. Here's this video of your son almost dying.
Yeah. Well, what I also like about is the story that got you there in the first place is it was like all you guys that met in Finkenball all kind of got together and met in Pamplona for running the bulls. So like you guys all became super tight after that, the Finkenball tournament, and then all decided to meet up there. And that's part of the magic of Finkenball and Prague Baseball Week is like you go to these tournaments and you make like lifelong friends there, and you go and travel together. And yeah, so I think that's just part of the European experience. So at least you got to do that while you're here as well.
Yeah, the Pamplona trips all the time. And like you said, the story of how we met and how like Catalan spearheaded that. He said, hey, we're all going to Pamplona. Like, let's get some guys together that all want to go. And when we had met in Finkenball, we really started the plan. Like, we started getting that plan in action. How many guys can we get? What are we doing for Airbnb, travel, stuff like that? So that's like almost the ultimate BBJO summer ball experience.
Yeah. And then Cosgrove, you came back like Patty had packed it in, but you decided to go another season in Europe.
Yeah, your international experience wasn't done yet. You ended up going over to Surfers Paradise.
Yeah. So, well, first of all, yeah. So I came back the next summer. Again, if you can't tell already, I've based all my teams solely off location.
Yeah.
Montpellier year 1, year 2, I narrowed it down to either Paris, Split, Croatia, or London. And then London ended up working out. So yeah, I went to London for 6 months, played for the London Mets, won a championship there. Had a blast. Sweet. And then from there, I was like, I want to go play in Australia. I've been wanting to play in Australia 2 years before that, but COVID banged that. So wanted to go out to Australia and again did the same thing. I was like, I'm going to look up all the locations of all the teams in the league. So I sat there going through the leagues, looking up location, and I came across Surfers Paradise. I was like, this has to be a joke. So
it's called Surfers Paradise. Like, geez.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, this is not real. And so I look it up, looked at the location of the field, looked at the city, and I was like, yeah, okay, I'm going. Headed out there, had the time of my life. It's
Oh, yeah.
unbelievable.
I'd love to just sit here and listen to all your stories of all the places, but I got to hear a little bit about what it was like to play baseball in London, in England, like because the competition level can't be that high. I know like the Mets and like the one other team there kind of dominate for the most part. Is that pretty much accurate description?
Yeah. So
Okay. Yeah.
so we'll start this out because I know that the London Mets are going to broadcast this for sure. London Mets, great organization. The guys are awesome. It's run well. It's clean. It's organized. It's well done. Our team was very solid. We beat the shit out of everybody pretty much. We had some real baseball players on our team. A couple of national team guys. Zach Stroman and I became real good friends. He's a national team guy. So had a blast out there. But I'm not gonna lie, I actually hit better in the Czech Republic than I did in London. Because I'm not gonna lie, in London I was seeing
65.
70, 72 day in, day out.
Yeah.
And nobody, obviously, like me in the lineup of a London team, they're not gonna pitch to me when they don't want to, you know. So I really it was fun. It was fun because we dominated everybody. There's one team that just forfeited the 2 games because they were 3 hours north from Sheffield, and they were like, we don't want to come down. It's too hot, and we know we're just going to get boat raced, so we're just going to cancel the games. So yeah, it was fun. I mean, and then we put together a competitive team and went over to the CEB Cup in Belgium. And we played really well there. I think we kind of surprised everybody. Everybody there picked us to finish last, and I think we finished. We went to the championship game against the number 2 team from the Spanish league, and put together a competitive game against them, competed with them, and so it was a cool experience in London. But no, the competition was well below average. So I try to make sure everybody, because people hit me up, they're like, "What did you think about London?" I'm like, "Listen, it's awesome. I had the best time, but you got to know that you're seeing high school C team players pitching on a day in and day out basis. Besides our team,
Yeah.
and then there's
your team.
Yeah, our team's legit. We have some college guys, some real good guys, and then the national team players. There's one other team in the league that's solid, or 2 other teams, I guess. One other team is all Latinos, so it's basically all the Latinos from London get together and put together a team, and that's actually they play some really good baseball because you got a bunch of Dominicans and Venezuelans that are all together playing baseball together. They love it. They're competitive. And then we also have the London Capitals, who is run out of the same program as the Mets. We share the same field and everything. They're our biggest rivals, and they have a very average team, but better than the rest of the league for sure. But yeah, just in case there's any London Capitals members listening, don't forget who Daddy is. Okay, just throw that one out there. Yeah, great story about them. One day the other thing that was cool about London was, if you guys remember the Home Run Derby X thing that they put together in London.
Yeah, you got. Yeah.
Yeah, so I got involved in the early event, not the main event, the early event for their YouTube series. Got to do that, which was awesome. Such a cool experience. Got paid for it. They gave us gear. Got to be on stage. Really, really cool experience. But it was funny because that's on a Saturday. Saturday night, all the big leaguers that were there basically were like, "Hey, we're all going out to this club. We're gonna get a table." So we're out at the club with Nick Swisher and Giovanni Soto, and these guys. And we're at this club having a good time. But obviously, it's we told our coaches, because we have a doubleheader against our rival, the Capitals, the next morning, and so we were like, "Listen, coach, we're not gonna be there." It was me and Zach Stroman, and another guy, Jordan Edmonds, who's a national team member. We're like, "Listen, we're not going to be there for pregame, just to let you know." So we go out. We're out till about 4 a.m. Heavy on the piss. Wake up the next day. from downtown London. I get on the tube. I had my baseball bag, so I get off the tube, drop my bag off at the field while they're warming up. I'm still in my all black outfit from the night before at the club, and still just absolutely drunk at 8 a.m. on Sunday morning. And I'm like, this hangover is gonna hit me real hard. They're all looking at me like, dude, you look bad. I'm like, I know. I gotta go home and shower. They're all looking, I know this hangover is gonna hit me hard. So I pop by the store and grab a couple 40 ounces of Foster's and suck those down pregame. And then I get to pregame PP. And I wish I was exaggerating. I need you to know that I'm not exaggerating when I said I took 3 rounds of 5 and I put 1 ball in fair territory. I swung and missed 4 or 5 times, fouling balls off. 1 ball in fair territory. But again, I'm still drunk at this time. We're about to go play our rivals. I couldn't put a ball in a fair territory, but all of a sudden I hit this. Patty knows about the switch back here. This is the compete switch. So I flip the compete switch because it's our rivals, and I start just absolutely talking shit to this other team. Then I go out my first at bat. I got out. Second at bat, I hit a double, and I'm over there chirping him. Zach comes up behind me, gets a hit. I score, and I start running past their dugout going, it's going to be a long fucking day, boys. Get ready. Long fucking day. And then as I cross home plate, sorry about my language, mom and dad, but as I cross home plate, the catcher goes, hey, why don't you calm down? And I said, and right there, the umpire goes, Andy, you're gone. Tosses me in the second inning. So I get tossed to the second inning, but we win the first game. 1 for 2 with the double in game 1. I come back out for game 2, and I go 5 for 5 with 4 doubles.
No.
And just absolutely torched these guys. And so that's why I had to make sure that the Caps still know that those are my children. But I did have to go. The problem was that on Wednesday nights, because we're run out of the same program, I helped coach them. I threw them BP and hit them ground balls and stuff. So I had to issue a public apology to the team because I got tossed out and talked so much trash to him during the games. So that was a wild experience. While
you're on a roll, because we got 9 minutes left.
Yeah.
I want to send another link. I want to hear about Surfer's Paradise, and then, how it led to maybe how that even plays a role on maybe you're going to be on the show there.
Yeah, Surfers. So I got the contract down there, showed up. I was there for like 2 days and then rolled to a place called the Burley Pavilion, which is like considered arguably the #1 bar restaurant venue in Australia, right on Burley Heads. It's on top of the water, right by the point. Walked in there like 2 days in, knew that I wanted to get a job bartending because I've bartended before. So I was just there for lunch with a friend of mine, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to find a manager. So I just walked up, found a manager, and I was like, hey, can you guys looking for bartenders? They were like, have you bartended before? I was like, yeah. They were like, basically said I was hired on the spot. So I got a bartending job at the Burley Pavilion. So I played baseball a couple times a week for Surfers. We had a real nasty team there too. Bartended at the coolest venue in the world. I mean, it was an incredible experience just because it was that like surfer laid back lifestyle where I never had to wear a shirt or shoes. Went out for a surf, 5-6 days a week. Bartended at the beach. Our baseball team was good. They understood that I was there for a good time, but like obviously we took the baseball seriously. So it was just kind of that perfect combination of having that good baseball team with a really good organization, good people there, and then them kind of letting me experience life there as well. And then so the Burley Pavilion was that was my home essentially, because if I wasn't working there, I was there drinking. But yeah, essentially the Love Island people, they reached out to me when I first got to Australia through Instagram and said, apply for the show. I said, okay. So I applied for the show and then didn't hear anything back from them. And then I was like, all right, no big deal. And then probably about a month and a half ago, they sent me an email. They were like, hey, we saw that you applied last year, but we had already casted for that season, but we're recasting for next season. Is this something you'd be interested in? I was like, sure. Like, I'll check it out. So I went through a couple phone calls and Zoom calls, and now I'm down to about the last the last 20, 30 candidates, I would think, to go on the show. So we'll see if that happens. You know, it's obviously the producers that I met are trying to sell the executive producers on why they're trying to bring an American onto Love Island, Australia.
Time. It's Girls' Day Out with a villain era twist.
Can you use something?
Oh my god, what?
Hang on a sec.
No.
Does this work?
Turning me up to a level 10. Everybody order a hot guy on a jet ski.
Oh my god!
Let's go.
My name's Andy. I'm 27 years old from Seattle, Washington, and I'm living on the Gold Coast of Australia. I'm an international professional baseball player, so I kind of go around the world to different countries and try to expand the game of baseball. I really wouldn't say I'm looking for much, probably just a wife and a mother to my children.
I bring the noise in.
I think the other guys should be worried because I'm just a new shiny toy on the shelf. I'm going to be new to the villa, come from a different country, have a cute accent. Boys, watch out. I might be American, but I've hit home runs on every continent I've been to.
Just know when you see me.
So it sounds like you were probably posting stuff on social media that you're in Australia and stuff, and they stumbled upon you, or like, how did they?
I would think so. I haven't necessarily asked that question, but I mean, everything I was posting was in Australia. My Instagram bio at the time said like Gold Coast, Australia. So I guess that's where it's come up. It happened when I was in London. I got reached out to go on a couple of different shows. Same way, they just slide in my Instagram DMs and say that they'd be interested. Not to actually, it's not like, oh, you're on the show. It's just more like, hey, you seem like an interesting person. Apply, and then we'll see if we're interested in you after that. But yeah, that's how that all came about. So now I'm just kind of sitting, waiting, seeing if it's going to happen or not. But it would be a little wild especially because I'm thinking about, I'm honestly pretty sure that I'm going to go back to Surfers again next year. So it'd be a little interesting if I'm showing back up in the league, playing Fridays and Sundays, while on Saturday nights, I don't know what day they posted, but on Tuesday nights, Love Island's airing. And then I'm going to go. And then first at bat on Friday night, I'm going to punch you and someone's going to go, start talking shit about the fact that I was on Love Island. So we'll see. We'll see. I don't know if it'll happen or not, but it's in the right direction. It would be a cool experience.
Oh yeah. Love it. And I like the fact that what I was getting at, you were there playing baseball and then this has come about, and this is just part of putting yourself out there and traveling the world and playing ball, and things happen and one thing leads to another. And, so I love hearing stories of that. So we got just over 4 minutes. Do you guys have any final words for anybody listening that's considering going to play overseas? Especially guys that maybe have a background similar to yours.
Yeah.
No,
you go, Cos.
Go ahead.
All right.
Okay. Go.
So for me, the reason why I want to do it is I kind of reached my threshold baseball wise, and that was the Division I level. And then I knew I could go play overseas and still be really competitive. But same as Cosgrove, always wanted to travel, and I always have loved traveling. And so this opportunity to still play baseball while traveling in Australia, Europe, wherever you might be, it's almost too good to be true. And you get paid doing it. It's the best thing ever. And for me, it was just a great way to end my baseball career. College ball, pro ball, it's tough. It's cutthroat. But to go overseas to where it's a little more laid back and you're pretty much the best person on the field, more often than not, definitely makes it a little easier. But to go out that way, it kind of leaves you with a great last memory of the game. I don't follow baseball too much anymore, but I always look back on my time, and the time playing overseas was some of my best experiences. Just playing the game. It's fun. Like what Cosgrove said, a lot of these guys have full-time jobs and they come out to practice Tuesday, Thursday, and they play a double dip on a Saturday. And it's just because they love the game and they love competing. And there's no politics with it. You're not getting paid an insane amount of money. You really got to love the game to be out there on your free time. So that's kind of what it was for me. Just perfect opportunity, perfect way to tie a bow on the baseball career.
Cosgrove, you got 2.5 minutes.
2.5 minutes. No, that's fine. No, I mean, it's been the best experience. Like I said, I think the best way to explain it to somebody else is I thought that I was retiring from baseball because I was sick of playing it. And then baseball jobs overseas has put me in a place where now I'm thinking about extending a career for a third year. Just because I have so much fun doing it. Like Patrick said, like I said earlier, I really wanted to travel. And then I figured that baseball in Europe was definitely the job that I was most qualified to do. So it ended up working out. Patrick's become my best friends in the world now. He's met so many people, traveled all over. The other thing that's cool is like not only is it just travel and seeing different countries, like Daddy and I knocked out like 10 countries on that summer when we traveled around. But not only that, it's like when you go play somewhere and you live there for a season, it's a totally different experience than a 3-day vacation somewhere. So you really get to kind of dive into the culture a little bit. So yeah, I mean, like Patty got to northwest Germany in a small city. So you're in like a small town. You're meeting people. You're experiencing different things. Like I said, I got to live in London and South France and Prague, and now on the coast of Australia, where when you're there for an extended amount of time, you really start to, experience and live differently just because of where you are and who you're around. So yeah, baseball jobs overseas has just been an incredible tool to help, propel me into that area where now I've had the best time of my life. Doing it, had the most fun playing baseball since I was a child. So it's really, really special.
That's awesome.
Thanks, boys. I appreciate it, man. We're gonna have to connect again here. So keep us posted on what happens with the show, and because we got less than a minute, this thing's gonna shut off. But I want to see you on that show. That's gonna be
We'll see.
that we're definitely gonna be putting out there.
Oh, I'll be shouting out BBJO for sure.
Oh yeah,
Thing's gonna blow up.
yeah.